welcome and welcome back to Chichona with a podcast. I'm your host Diana, aka Chichona, and how are you? How you doing? How you not doing? Today I'm not alone. Today I have a guest. So let's start with today's episode. We are back again with Malcolm from the Straight In podcast. How are you, Malcolm?
I'm good, Diana. It's always good to feature on your podcast. Excited.
Excited because today we are going to talk about not one thing but two things mainly. We're going to talk about feel good movies and TV shows, and also Atlanta, especially Atlanta. And I have to say that even if I didn't put it in my feel good list of TV shows, after I watch it, I want to watch it again. So I don't know if you feel the same about it.
Yes, I do. It's one of those shows that every time you someone reminds you of it or you see something about it, you're like, wow, I want to go back. I've got to watch this.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, Atlanta. Let's start with that, and then because it's more deep, it's more a little bit more complicated, and then we go with something more simple. Let's say like that.
Okay.
So, what did you like about Atlanta?
Um, I liked a lot of things about Atlanta. One of the things that I really liked was the way it was structured. You'd think that it's such a serious show, and then at the turn of an event, it gets into like almost a fantasy type of show.
Yeah,
So
it is true. There are some episodes that are completely yeah, out of the story of the main story that they are told. They are
yeah,
telling us, and there is this episode that I watch. That I also you watch because if you watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. That is the one when Darius went to this big villa to take a piano, and in this villa
oh,
there is a white black man because he
yeah,
did the bleaching to remove
yeah,
the black skin, and it
yeah.
is so weird. It was so weird to watch it.
Oh, yeah. I know the one exact one you're talking about, and it had so many weird things. Like, remember him eating the ostrich egg, like
Yeah.
out of the egg? It's so weird.
Yeah, it seems so yeah, it was something like thriller or
Yeah,
horror movie sometime because it was so suspenseful in certain moment that you you at the end you didn't know that what the man that was telling you was true or
was
not.
yes,
What is going
yeah,
on?
exactly. Because you remember, I remember thinking at that time, like, there's no one else in this villa. Like, he's crazy. His brother doesn't exist. And
Yeah.
then the whole thing of his brother being like, you've got to kill. He's the one trying to kill me, type of thing. And honestly, it was so. And I don't know why that most of the most craziest episodes have Darius at the center
Yeah.
of some weird stuff going on. Did you watch the one where there's riots going around
Yeah.
and he just wants to return an air fryer or something? So
Yeah. And then
yeah,
there is the old lady with the knife following him. Just- For
on
real?
the scoot. And it's things like that. Like, why did she signal him out? He wasn't even. He was like, "I'm not even looting. This is my
Yeah.
air fryer." And he's walking, and she's always behind him. It's so weird.
My God. And she because she is also in a wheelchair, sort of
Yeah,
wheelchair, and
yeah.
she is low. She is low. So if with this knife with going behind him, he was like, why?
And it's interesting because it's these things that get you thinking about, like, I remember people saying, could you imagine that someone was chasing you at that pace your whole life? You'd be like, oh, it's not a bother because they can never catch me. But like he always was feeling like, okay, I'm free. She's far away. I've got rid of her. And then he'll be like, wait, wait. And you'd hear the scooter
Yeah.
like in the background.
She is
Oh,
always there behind you.
Yeah, there's no escape.
Yeah. And also, the last episode it is about Darius, mainly about Darius, because he go into this deep
Yes.
meditation, but in a bath, sort of a bath,
Yes, yes, yes.
and he doesn't know if at the end he wake up or not, if he's still in a meditation or not, and the sign if he's in a meditation or not is if the judge of a television show is a beautiful woman with all the curves and etc.
Yeah.
Because it's like a judge is not like that. So it was funny to see him try to escape or doing certain things to understand if he was in a dream or not.
Yeah, and I think it was more like it was such a weird episode because it was the story was they went to like a restaurant, like a
Yeah,
chicken restaurant or
a
something, and then
sushi restaurant,
a
but they
sushi restaurant.
wanted to go to Popoyes.
Popeyes,
Yeah,
Popeyes, yeah,
Popeyes. I
yeah,
mean, sushi and Popeyes. I mean, also for
yeah,
me is better the chicken, but
for sure.
and also because the owner of the sushi restaurant was a little bit weird at the
Very
end.
weird, like just eerie type
Mm,
of vibe about them. And I think, yeah, that was interesting because I remember the first time we woke up, I was so confused because I was like, okay, this episode is going really weird, you know? And
yeah,
then he woke up, then I was like, ah, okay, it was a dream. And then he had to keep doing, I think what he decided to do is do more extreme things to like get out of the dream. He'd be like,
yeah,
well, if this is a dream, I'm just going to do the most extreme thing I can do.
yeah. Or like stealing a pink Maserati.
Yeah, pink Maserati.
And the interior of the Maserati were in the like tigress things.
Tiger, like
Yeah, the
the like
pattern
tiger
pattern.
pattern.
Yeah,
Yeah, like the tiger print. I think
yeah,
leopard print
leopard.
almost.
Yeah,
Yeah, but tiger.
it was so horrible to see a car like that. Like, who
Yeah,
would
it was.
buy something like that? Pink
And,
and leopard pattern. Why?
and especially since it's such an expensive car to start off with, and then that's what you do to it. You put it with that kind of nasty interior, and it's like pink on the outside. It's very weird. But I think that's the thing with the show is that it's got all these different layers, and you'd imagine that the main story. I guess we didn't even discuss the main story
Yeah.
of the show. We just went straight into the weird, the weird
Yeah.
episode. But yeah, it's Paperboy, isn't it? He's his cousin, which is Paperboy, is trying to be a rapper. And I remember when I went back and watched the first season and him being like, yeah, I want to manage you. And it's crazy to see, you know, the whole progression through the series, I guess, of from saying, hey, I want to manage you to actually managing him and making him better. Because I think at the first of the first series, first two seasons, um, he was seen as a very um Ern was a very like he's got nothing going on type of character, you know, like he's got a baby mama, he's not really like got any money. And I really did fall in love with that story, you know. And I think one of the more touching episodes was when he had little to no money, and then he got some money from either selling his phone. Okay, the phone episode is so funny as well, but let's stay serious for a bit. But he made some money, and he then like had to give most of it to his wife for like child support, and he just had like this $50 like stuffed in his, and I think it's the last episode of season one, $50 stuffed in his sock or something. And he's going back to his house because he doesn't want to like impede on or like sleep over at his baby mama's place. And his house is just a storage unit with like all his stuff. And I was like, whoa, this is deep. Like I hope he makes it.
And he makes it.
Yeah, he makes it.
And
But
also another uh, aspect that I liked about Atlanta was that they tell us about the society of Atlanta, because I didn't know that. I didn't know how dangerous was that city.
yeah,
So, and also how even if you are black and you live in the community, you don't feel welcome in that community, even if you are
yeah,
part of that community. And so
yeah,
it was, there is this scene in I think that it was in the third season, in which Pepperboy uh, wants to have a haircut, but then something happened, and he not no, also that. But
yes,
another episode is when he went out with his girlfriend, and then
yeah.
there is this fight with young teenagers, and
Mm.
they beat him, and he
Oh
escaped
yeah,
in the forest, into the
yeah,
wood, and there is this man, a little bit psycho, a little bit weird,
yeah. Like a
and
psycho homeless man.
yeah,
Yeah,
and he cannot escape the forest. So it's always this feeling of being not safe when you are at home, like in your
yeah,
hometown. And it's so
yeah.
weird.
It is very weird, and you've hit the nail on the head there when you speak on the black culture and the black experience as being a rapper in Atlanta, because he met those kids who were like, "Yo, Paperboy, I'm a fan of you," and he thought that it was all cool, you know, they're gonna be cool, and then they were like, because I think first of all, the whole emphasis of that episode was he wants to keep it real. Like, I want to be real. I don't want a bodyguard. I want to be like with the people. Like, I'm Paperboy, you know. And he kept getting like N and his whole team being like, "Yo, now you're kind of famous now, so you should think about like not being out there. You know, like you've got to take care of yourself. There's people who might try and get your wealth." And he kept being like, "No, I'm from the streets. I always been from the streets. I'm not about all this like, like a very like down to earth rapper." So he then gets into, I think he went to the mall because it's the same time that that guy was trying to kill him, the dude with
Yeah,
the
it's
yeah,
the following episode, I think.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
so
of like the
weird.
rap. It was like rap beef. Like there was
Mm.
some beef between them, and then he escapes, and he's like, whatever. I'm just gonna like walk because you know what, I'm Paperboy. You know, he's still thinking he's not like this big rapper. So he walks and he finds himself like confronted by these three teenagers. And at first, it's like a really cool interaction. It's like, "Yo, Paperboy, I listen to your stuff, like Paperboy, Paperboy." And then they're like, "Yo, like I like you. Look at you. You're all swagged up with the chain and everything." And then it's a surreal moment when the conversation changes to like, "Yo, but are you here by yourself? Like no one else is with you?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, you know how it is." And then it's like something clicks in their heads and they jump him and they're trying to steal his chain and like steal all this stuff. And I don't think the thing was he doesn't walk around with a gun. So I don't know if he what it was, but like it was such a weird moment when it was like, oh shit, like he's in deep trouble. And then in true Atlanta fashion, he goes into the forest and it changes into like a fantasy type of like spiritual journey of him
Yeah.
meeting the the crazy guy in the forest being like, "You're never gonna escape." And
And then also, this crazy guy has a sort of knife and try to
yeah,
kill him, or
yeah,
something. So, like, you are always in danger, no matter what.
yeah, yeah. And was it that he was already having a bad day because it was his mom's like the day that his
uh,
mom
yeah,
like
yeah,
died? Yeah,
yeah. So, oh, the anniversary of the
anniversary
death
of it. Yeah,
of the mom death, something like that.
yeah. Yeah, so it was a really weird, but like a very eye-opening episode to what it is in the life of a person living in Atlanta. Like, even if you're a rapper, because we hear all the stories about these rappers who were shot on the side of the street and had money in their car, whatever, and like it's just a robbery. But you'd think that you're immune to these things, but Atlanta is dangerous.
Yeah, it really seems really dangerous. That's
Really
for sure.
does. Yeah.
And
Uh,
also, yeah, sorry.
sorry, I just wanted to say also that this is such a crazy show because from the first episode, I don't know if you remember it, there was a scene with the dude in the suit in the bus with the Nutella sandwich, and he was like, "You gotta take a bite of my sandwich." You know, that's like, and this interaction that Ern didn't really want to be a part of. He's like holding his daughter, and she's like falling asleep, and there's a guy around you who's like trying to give him these words of advice and how he should leave and how he should life should be, and like forcing the sandwich on him. And I felt like that's also a signal of like there's no sense of privacy in like
Mm.
some of these big cities. Like, you know, like I just want to be on the bus, man. Why are you stressing me with this?
And then he disappeared in the forest also. So
Oh,
what?
classic,
Yeah.
classic Atlanta. Yeah.
And also his relationship with his partner,
Mm,
the woman, I don't remember the name. Also, her has a journey because in the last season she has a deep crisis, and she went to Europe. And there is this episode in which she is in Paris, and she is always with this baguette. Uh,
oh my
and
god.
that
Speaking French.
episode,
She speaks French now. That's
yeah,
the episode where she's like
it's
speaking
pretty.
French. Yeah.
Yeah, with a French accent, like
Yeah.
out of nowhere. You are from Atlanta. Why are you speaking with with a French accent? Why?
Yeah.
And also the end of that episode in which well, she at the end returned back to her daughter, but when they are in this big house of these important people, uh, she is completely normal that she is cooking real hens, to other person. And I was like, what is going on? What is going on?
Yes. Yes. Now that was a very weird episode, and you almost can't. I can't like place what they were trying to communicate except just being a very weird episode because she had left her daughter, right? She was like, and her mom or someone kept calling her like, "Hey, your daughter wants to speak to you," and she was out there in France like living a second life. And how you find out is that I think N now they've like they're making it as Paperboy and he's traveling to Europe and they're like, oh, you know, Vanessa is in Paris. You should hook up. And he's like, what? What about my daughter? You know, type of thing. But I think then it goes wild. She's like running away from. She's holding a package, and people are chasing her for the package, and you're kind of wondering like, oh, it's just probably a normal package or like I don't know, whatever, a bit of money. And then yeah, then it goes through the whole episode of them like running around, and then she finally goes into the kitchen, opens up the package, and it's human hands. Now
Yeah.
that was weird. And they're
Really
all
weird.
sat at the table. Oh gosh, yeah, that was weird.
Like, I don't know, rich people, I guess.
Rich people. And wasn't it that like there was these two girls at the party? I don't know if it was her friends or
uh,
something. And they
who,
were like,
they were the friends of her friend. Like, so
yeah, like, and they were like, "Oh my god, this is so exclusive! Like, this is such an exclusive party. I can't wait to see what this great chef, cook up for us." And then when it came out and there were the hands, you'd expect them to be like, I think for a second they were like, "But these are human hands. Like, what the hell?" And then when everyone started eating them, they were like, "Ah, okay, I ate them," you
yeah,
know, and they ate them.
yeah,
And
but the rich people don't didn't move anything. Like they were so excited. Like,
yeah,
let's eat something that is so exclusive, so
yeah,
new. I don't know.
yeah. I
Yeah,
think to some extent it probably does speak on the craziness of like exclusive Hollywood rich society people where it's like something that they're doing is so wrong and so absurd, but the group, you've got that group peer pressure, and everyone is just like, I don't want to look, like whatever. If they're doing it, I guess I'm gonna do it. So I think that was like maybe the take he was going for, but man, makes you think. I definitely wouldn't have eaten the hands.
Yeah, me neither. Well, no, cannibalism is not for me actually. I don't know.
Yeah, you got to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I have some boundaries when it comes to food. I don't know.
Mhm, mhm.
But and also another thing that I really like about this TV show is that they dealing with important matters, but in a funny way. So
Yeah,
it's always a criticism of what is going on in our society, especially in
yeah,
Atlanta, in America, and but without make you feel so bad at it, but make you feel yeah, yes bad because it's something bad, but in a funny way. They transmit this in a funny way, and this is important. It's for me at least
yeah,
making share something that doesn't feel so heavy, but
yeah,
but makes you think about this, makes you understand that maybe we should change something, but at the same time,
yeah,
it is difficult to change as we know.
yeah. Yeah. And it seems to go from very political topics. Like, I remember there was an episode on reparations where it was like, oh, these previous slave owners are now going to have to pay reparations. And it was like all these black people. I don't know. It must have been like something was released on the web with like connect reparations for everyone now. So you go and you track down the ancestors of your slave owners and they have to pay you back the money. And I thought that was such an interesting idea to play with because, people of color have always been calling for reparations and pay, getting something back and getting what they were promised. And it was, I think, in like, that one episode, you were able to see what happens, how the system created poverty. Because now that it's the white people like paying back reparations, all of a sudden he can't control his bills. All of a sudden he can't make rent. All of a sudden, like everyone with the money is the people earning off reparations. So you kind of gets you to think, oh, like okay, this is why like black people are suffering, black and indigenous American people are suffering in the system they are in now, is because they just didn't have those like building blocks like given to them, just like here we call it. And well, the people who came and colonized the country just had these building blocks that they took from those people. And it was interesting to see, as time, as the reparations were being paid, like who was becoming more wealthy, and like how the system sort of shifted on its head. So that was that was a more serious one, but it was
Yeah,
interesting.
it was. I like also that they experiment with this type of matters, and also in with new techniques, because
Mm,
usually we in a season in a TV show we don't have this type of experimentation that uh, we have here, and we I think that we should thank Donald Glover because he is a genius in my opinion,
yeah,
and he did because he is the creator of this TV show, and
yeah,
he wanted to, I think, try to say things in his way,
mm,
and telling to us, to everyone, that maybe we should do something, or
yes,
be aware of what is going on in those cities, because
that's true. I
it,
think you said it right there, like to make us aware of what's going on in those cities. And one episode that stood out to me in that situation was Paperboys played at a club and the guy's like, "Oh, come to the club. I'll pay you to play to like feature at the club. Like, just come, have some drinks on the house, and then I'll pay you at the end of the night." So this is when N is still trying to like manage Paperboy. So he's just like working the whole night. And the club owner is the most slippery individual I've ever seen. And he's like, "Oh yeah, we'll talk about the money, but now just enjoy yourself, have another drink." And every time he goes to have a drink, he turns around, the guy's gone. And I thought that it was the funniest show because I feel like in terms most people have probably dealt with someone who doesn't want to give them money and and doesn't want to like pay them when they should be paid. But I do think like especially in black culture, like it's such a meme. Like so many people act like that. They owe you money and they just like tell you anything not to pay your money. And I felt like the craziest and the funniest scene was the one where he's like, "Oh, grab a drink," and he like falls back into the wall
Yeah,
and then the
disappear.
wall disappears. I was just like, "Oh my god," you know?
So surreal. Like, what
Yeah,
happened?
yeah. And like the sheepish the look he had on his face where he was like, "Yeah, I'm cool." Like, like he knows exactly what he's doing. Oh, that made me laugh. But then again, I guess it's one of those things like coming up in the music business, coming up in entertainment, um, people offering promises, falling out of contracts, and life in Atlanta, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
it's quite good.
it was quite good. Also, if you want, we can talk about Swarm. There is another project of
Yes.
Donald Glover that
Yeah.
you tell me that you watch it. So why not
Yeah.
talk about also that? Because I discovered that
Mm.
Donald Glover started as a writer for something related to Simpson, and then he was called to do also Community, because I know him from Community, so I know him from the
Yeah.
beginning. Let's say like that. And I think that he is so adaptable to each situation, to each type of genre that we have. Like, he can do drama, he can do comedy, he can do something like this. I mean, something like Atlanta, and he can create also something like Swarm, because it
Yeah.
is suspenseful thriller, and at the same time also a little bit psychological, and
Yeah.
and uh, and yes, because Swarm is about this big fan of a singer.
Beyonce.
Like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
in the real story is Beyonce, but here
Yeah.
is another singer,
Yeah.
and she completely lose her mind to make everything that she can do to be at the concert of this singer, and it was
Yeah.
damn.
It was. And yeah, I think in the show the singer is called Niger or something like
Yeah,
that.
Nigel, that's right.
Niger. And it was crazy because at first you just thought that, she's just really obsessed with this Niger singer. But as the series goes on, you start to realize that it's because it was her and her friend Marissa, or whatever her name was, and it was their connection. I think she had seen Marissa go through like so much stuff and everything, and when they were young, they really bonded over like she's amazing, just as anyone, Bieber fever, everyone when they were young, Beyonce, same sort of thing. But she just never like got out of that phase. And yeah, it gets dark quite quick because
Yeah, since the first episode is
yeah,
immediately so dark, like she already killed someone in the first episode. It was like, damn, damn, I didn't
yeah.
expect that.
And wasn't it like a dude because he didn't like he was like, oh, she was like, "Who's your favorite singer?" And he was like, just gives an answer. And then she's like, Niger's the best singer ever. Like Niger is the best. And he was just like, what? I don't listen to that. And she just like,
How
who?
can you? How
Yeah.
can you? No,
It's
you
like
can't.
it's like a nightmare. I would hate that. I would be so scared. I got so scared after watching Storm. I was like, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
And the actress was like amazing. uh,
Mhm.
she gave a performance that, my God.
Yeah, she did. I believed that she like embodied it with her very like she was very distant, you know, and like reserved. And then she the freakouts, you know, like when she killed a guy and like she'd like swaddle herself, you know, that was quite scary because you know she's like screaming or whatever it is. She's like she used to like soothe herself, like put her hand in her mouth or something, and like and that just added to
Yeah,
it.
I mean, sometimes actors are too good. You don't
Yeah,
you can understand if they are really acting or if they are really giving that situation, that emotion. I don't know.
it's true. It's true. You get lost in it. You're like, wow, am I watching a documentary? Like, am I watching a hidden camera show? Or is this
Yeah,
actually, you know? Yeah. And, you know, it's the same thing, I guess, with this show is that some episodes that just stuck out. Um, I think one of them was when she found herself almost recovering.
mm.
She joined a cult. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it was
I thought in which there is also Billie Eilish. I think she's
Oh,
like the
yes.
the leader or the spiritual leader that she gives us some
Oh. The one
advice.
who like yeah, like she does that therapy thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That was Billie Eilish. I had no idea.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think she was Billie
Yeah,
Eilish.
yeah. I now that you said it, you know, it does look like her.
Because she was completely blonde. Usually we see Billie Eilish with dark hair or darker green, darker red. Now
Mm.
she has dark and red, I think. I mean, the
Yeah.
last time that I saw her.
Yeah. So, wow, I didn't know that that was a special star, like a guest appearance, but that's cool. Yeah, but that was weird as well. Like she joined the cult itself was also weird, you know. I was like, it's healthy, but it's not it's healthy because she's coming from a bad place and maybe she'll be able to express these problems. But yeah, it was
At the end of all is a cult. So
yeah,
we
yeah.
know that cult are not the best places to find
Oh
yourself.
yeah. Yeah. And the funny bit though I like about it was I think it was the last scene where the cult leader thought that she had control over her and she was like, "No, you come back, like we'll talk about it." And then she just run her over. She was just
Yeah, with the car. I was like, damn,
yeah,
damn.
yeah. And do you remember what it was? It was that she was on her way to a Niger concert and she needed to get to the concert and she had been through like some dodgy characters already and then these people rescued her and then the main problem they did I think they took her phone or they didn't have a phone charger and they thought they were helping her and then towards the end of the episode she's so close to the concert she can hear it and that's when she was like, "What day
Remember
is
the
it?" Yeah, she's like, "What day is it today? The concert's today. You guys said you were going to the concert." Ooh, and then it just escalates to a whole new level.
yeah, completely new, whole new level.
Yeah,
Yeah, and now Donald Glover is doing Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Have you watched it?
I have, and I actually really liked the original movie. I thought it was
The
cool.
Angelina Jolie.
And yeah, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. And I always thought it is very difficult to take a character after Brad Pitt, mainly because he's got these weird things he does, you know, that
Eating. You
yeah,
always eat in each movie that he
eating,
does.
right? Yeah. But he's always chewing. Like
Yeah. The other day I rewatched Ocean 11. Yeah.
Ocean's 11, yeah.
And the first scene that we see him, he's eating. I was like, dude, you're always eating. What is going on with you?
It is, and it's so weird. Like it's not something you expect, but it's who he is. So we're so used to seeing him like chewing, chewing something or like talking with his mouth full. And I think Donald Glover tried to put his own twist on it, which was cool. And then I think in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Mr. Smith was always like really well dressed. And but that's like years ago. So
They adapt
now,
to our
yeah, so now he
time.
has to, yeah. So it's interesting to see like this new style of Mr. Smith and what like well dressed looks like today, you
Mhm.
know.
A little bit
And
casual.
yeah, yeah, it was very casual. I liked it. Like the most he ever got dressed up was like the leather jacket or something.
Yeah. It is enough. I was just,
Yeah,
it is enough.
it was. It looked good. They both look good, and I feel like the other character, Mrs. Smith, was also a welcome change, because Angelina Jolie also played it. When it was Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, I felt like there was less conversation. It was almost like all these, I don't know, like it was just like sexual tension the whole movie, where it was like a dance of, we found out who you are, found out who I am, but we still love each other type of vibe. This one was like, we hate each other. you know?
And that's it.
Yeah, that's it. And we're just forced to live in this situation, and we don't see eye to eye. And so it was nice to see how that shaped, especially with Mrs. Smith, because she like brought a new energy on screen, which I felt was really natural. Like it wasn't like she was trying to be like whatever, this sexy spy or whatever it is. She was just like a very high achieving person who wanted to work hard and earn loads of much money as she could, which was also kind of weird because it was regardless of what she wanted to like go to the top level, which
Mhm.
was killing other Smiths.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But also, I didn't know the actors before this show, and I have to say that I fall in love with her. She is
yeah,
really a charm. I don't know how
she
to explain
is.
in another
She is.
way. She gives
I
you energy. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'd seen her in like a show before. I don't know which show it was, but I'd seen her before, but
Mhm.
never in such a serious role. I think she's more of a comedian.
Yeah,
And
I think
yeah,
so.
yeah. And this was nice. I think I also felt it was such a good film for breaking down the stereotypes of what the people who used to play those characters, be it now Mr. Smith is a black American dude and Mrs. Smith is an Asian American chick. Like that would never have been heard of back in 2000 and whatever, when 2009, I think, when the original came out. So these interesting twists to it, and I think it was just such a cool little show because the focuses were on the missions they had, but there were so many layers, from the silly little things like hey hey, like hi hi, was it hi hi they used to call it?
Yeah.
And then the other Smiths are in and they're like, oh, did you talk to your handler? Oh, we just call him hi hi. you know
It was so good. It is so
yeah,
good.
it
It's one
is.
of the new show of 2024 that I have to say that I like because it
Yeah,
is difficult nowadays to make something different or something uh, that is from the old days and make it good again. So
yes, yes,
yeah.
it's true. And I think they did well because they didn't try and recreate it.
Hmm.
They made something totally new. And oh gosh, my best moment was when they meet the other Smiths.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we're gonna party with them. And they're like, damn, you guys party so hard. They were like, we finally found friends we can talk about this stuff with. And then they just like throw them into like the most extreme of extreme missions. And they're like really like drunk and like not in a good state. And they find themselves waking up in the middle of, I guess, South America or something, or Central America.
Yeah,
And
America Latina. To me. So you're sure that you're talking right?
I was like, yeah, you'd know better. And it was so weird. Like they had to like, I don't know. I found that so funny when they got back and they were like, we're never hanging out with them again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, so yeah, it was really good. These three shows are really good. I mean,
they are. They are.
Donald Glover makes always good stuff.
He does, and I think it's him and his brother Steven is also a director.
Mhm.
They usually direct the stuff together, so I feel like that's also good, like to see they come from a very, I guess, talented background,
Yeah,
talented family.
he's in genetic, I think.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But but yeah, that was a good show. I think those are like probably the best shows I've watched this year. But of course, there've been loads of other shows.
Mhm.
There's the stuff we always fall back on.
Yeah. So why not talk about feel good TV show to continue what we're talking
Oh
about?
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Like my favorite TV show,
Hmm.
I would say there's a few, which is why it's a bit of a. It's almost like trying to figure out which one's up there. But the boys, the
Yeah,
boys is another good one, and
I can wait for the next season.
yeah, I feel like Amazon for a bit was like creating some really good, really good original shows, and the boys,
Is one of them.
yeah. I wouldn't say whether it's like a feel good one though, just because it's kind of dark.
Yeah, it's kind of dark, but it's funny. Like it's so
Yeah,
funny.
it is. I would say also um animation speaking, like adult animations. I've really been watching a lot of Bob's Burgers, and
Yeah,
it's
I
good.
agree with you. I mean,
Yeah,
they are good.
they are. And I felt like it had to grow on me because I remember when I first started watching the humor, I couldn't see the humor, but when I started to know the characters, that's when I started seeing the humor in like Gene and how he says such inappropriate things, and Bob is just like, Gene, no, like,
Yeah. And
oh,
then
yeah.
oh, how they do burgers, like how why?
That's that's what makes it so realistic though, doesn't it? It's like this guy just owns a burger restaurant. He struggles to pay the rent like every month. It's not like the normal TV show arc where there's like it's gonna get better over time. No, he's always going to struggle to pay the rent. But he loves it, and I guess that's all that matters.
Yeah, I think so. At the end, if you do in something that you love in your life, is what is important. Money, yes, are important, but are not that important after
Yes,
all. Yeah,
it's true.
I have to say that I like Bob Burgers, but I prefer Family Guy because I
Mm, okay.
for maybe for Stewie. I love
Yeah.
Stewie. He's so crazy.
Yeah, he's quite the character. And I feel that with Stewie as well, it's always a situation of what's he gonna say next? Like what's the next or what's his next what's it called? Like his next scheme. Yeah. He,
So he has big plans. Like there's
yeah,
something always going on with him.
and how much he hates his mom.
Yeah. But another thing that you mentioned before with Bob's Burger, that he has a job. I never understand the job of Peter. Like, what is his job?
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. And we only ever get to like have these job episodes when he's getting like a promotion and then he messes it up and he goes
Yeah.
back. But he's definitely like he works in that brewery. I think he must work as like something in that
Mhm.
beer brewery. Very similar to like Homer Simpson, I guess, from
Yeah.
The Simpsons, where
Mhm.
it's just like it's just a placeholder, you know, but
Mhm.
it's just there. But definitely not like Bob, where there's like a clear, defined this is his job and this is what he does every day, and everything is about the restaurant. It's a bit like uh do you have Disney Plus? Have you
Yeah.
watched The Bear?
Yes, I watch it.
Yeah, that's a good show as well.
Yeah,
That's a good
definitely a
show.
good show.
Yeah, I was just thinking about food shows, and then that's the
Yeah,
next one that
but
came into my mind.
the bar is so good that I mean, you feel the stress that they're feeling when they cook it. I was like, damn.
Uh, gosh, it is a very stressful show.
Yeah, maybe it's not a feel good show, but it's
No,
pretty stressful. That is for sure.
when he has the freakouts, and I don't know, did you finish both seasons?
Yes.
Or
Hmm.
yeah, so yeah, towards the end of the season, like when the restaurant's going, and then he locks himself in the fridge, and I felt like that was sad, but I also felt like I don't know. I have a hate love relationship with his character. You know, like I like his character, but I'm also like there's so many problematic things
You
about you.
sometimes you want to slap him too. I don't know if
Yeah,
you feel the same.
yeah, exactly. And and I think that's what makes these layers of those characters in those shows, and it really does make it interesting. It's almost like Ibra as well on the show, the chef who I think he has arthritis or what it was, but then he didn't want to go to he doesn't like change, you know, and it's like we're trying to help you, trying to make you a better chef, but he's like, "No, I don't want to try this," and stuff like that. So it's good to see these very human characters because when you go out into the real world, you will be faced with people who are just like, "No, I just like this the way it is," you know, and that's how I want to do it for the rest of my life. And then there's the other lady who's like, "Nah, I want to like be the best I can be," and she's like now she's a chef, or she says
Mm,
Jeff.
yeah, as sous
Yeah,
chef of Jeff.
the
Yeah.
sous chef, Jeff. Yeah,
Mm. And also the relationship that is between oh my god, the main character and
yeah,
his cousin is so
yeah.
in general the relationship that the main character has in the family, because there is this episode of him having a Christmas party at his home,
Christmas party with
and
his
it was,
mom.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was so crazy, so crazy.
yeah.
I felt so bad for him. I was like, dude, ah.
It was that was one of those episodes where you could feel the stress. I didn't feel comfortable the whole episode. I was like, "Oh man, why is she still shouting? Why is she still throwing things?" Like, and then she's really happy, then she's really sad, and then oh my god, I was like the extremes. Then you understand why he is the way he is
Mhm.
and how he can survive in those situations. But yeah, it was definitely an insight to their family. Their family is not easy from
No,
the looks of
completely
it.
not.
And and then also with his brother who left him the restaurant as
Mm,
well, like that interaction at the party where his brother just doesn't really show any emotions. And you know the whole big thing about the letter, remember when they were like, oh, there's a letter that we left, and that's gonna be like when his cousin, as he calls
mm.
him, cousin, hid the letter. And then I was like, oh, how bad, I bet that letter explains everything. And then you get the letter and it's just
It doesn't.
yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't. Sad. That is sad. When you think that something will give you all the answer to your big
Mm,
questions, and at the end it doesn't. You feel like
yeah.
lose so much time of my life.
Yeah, it is.
Mm,
But it was very interesting. It's a lovely show.
yeah,
I think it's gonna go on for quite a few seasons.
at least I think at least one more season because
Yeah.
we have to see how the restaurant, the Michelin star
Yes.
restaurant, will continue.
Yeah. They've got to get the stars.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, that was also a good one. Like the whole story arc of
The
the
restaurant.
baker. Yeah, the restaurant, but
The
especially
baker, yeah.
yeah. I think that was so cool. Like when he went to Europe, Belgium, and
Hmm.
like was it Belgium
And
or Dutch? No,
Copenhagen,
Denmark.
yeah.
And he was learning how to be. I thought that was quite cool. Like the and then even with the guy who mentored him there, and then you see this other side of what's his name? I guess the bear. You
Hmm.
see the other side of bear where he's got like all these friends. He's that was a good season where you got to see all the friends that he made through becoming the best chef,
Hmm.
working in the best restaurant in the world. And I thought it was very cool.
Yeah, it is. It was.
Yeah,
Yeah, because at the end, if you think is more the journey that is important than
yeah,
the result. Also the result, of course, but the journey is what makes the result more enjoyable.
yeah,
And even if his chef, his chief, was really a bastard because he was not good to him, but his companions were much better. So he luckily made some friends during his
yeah,
studies years. So yeah.
yeah. It was kind of like scary how bad his chef was. Like,
Mhm.
oh man. But I wonder if that's like what it's to be at the top of your game, if that's some of the treatment that you have to go through. I know sometimes with like sports and stuff like that, it can get pretty degrading
Yeah.
in the same way. But when I was watching how his chef was with him, I was like, damn, that's like next level.
Yeah, I remember because I used to do ballet dance, ballet,
Mm,
and the teacher are so bad to the students that I think that is I don't know how the ballerinas can dance after so much judgments and so much evil.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
gosh, yeah. And I would imagine in women's arts, they can be really mean. Women can be like they've mastered how to be mean with words. Like it's like an art they've mastered. So yeah, I can imagine. I don't know how ballerinas, models, I think would
Mhm.
probably face similar sort of situations. Anywhere where you're like actresses, anytime you're in the media, I feel like it gets pretty mean.
Yeah, but I think it's more about these stereotypes. The
Mm,
if you are a model, you should be in those standards because if you're not in those standards, you're not beautiful. You're not a model. You cannot be considered a model. But there are some movies like White Chicks that that make fun of those.
mm. Okay, if we're talking like feel good films, White Chicks is up there.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I watch it. It's so good. It's so good.
It is so good. From the laugh, like, oh gosh, like, you know what I mean? Like the voices, oh my god, the
The
the fact that
makeups.
they're actually makeup, like the fact that they're actually wearing white makeup and it's them, I think is like the Wayan brothers, it's them, is just like the craziest thing because they'll like do the fake girl voice and then there's that one scene where like some dude is trying to talk to him and then he switches to like his
Yeah.
actual voice and it's like what it's like oh man.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
also, there is this scene, this famous scene of the actor that is in the car. waiting for
Terry
them.
Crews.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and he is singing the song. Uh, da-da-da-da-da-da,
yeah,
da-da-da-da.
yeah.
It was so good. It's so good.
And I love how it was like the guy was like, I'm gonna put on a song that's really gonna annoy this dude. Like, there's no way he knows this song. There's no way. And then he came on and he's like, oh, it's my favorite song. And then he's like, the first face he has is like, no, I don't like. And then he goes, it's my favorite song too. And he starts singing it. This massive built
Yeah.
black dude singing 1,000 miles or whatever the song is called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He
funny.
was a pretty good character in that film as well, Terry
Hmm.
Crews, because there's a few stereotypes that exist, especially in America with American footballers and black successful men and all of that. And one of the stereotypes is that they don't like black women and they have this fascination with white women. And I think that that was a trope they were really going for with Terry Crews because at the last scene when 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 he gets shot by him, and then they're like, "Oh, so sorry, we're undercover, whatever FBI agents," and he's like, he's not even pissed off that they're not girls. He's pissed off that they're black. He's just like, "Oh, get away from me, man!"
You're black.
Yeah, you're black.
So funny.
And he
So
was like, "Ew, don't touch me," you know? And it was like, and I was like, "Yeah, that makes absolute sense." Like when they were doing that.
uh, oh my god. And I mean, feel good movies. You also told me that you like Superbad, and
I do like Superbad. Yes,
and
that's
I think that that movie is incredible. I mean, there's all the white comedian in that
yeah,
case, all in that movie.
yeah, yeah. And it was all before. I like it so much that I like listen to Seth Rogen because I really like Seth Rogen and he you can find interviews about him talking about how they made Superbad. And the crazy thing is that he wrote that script so long ago. He was supposed to be
Oh,
um
I didn't know that.
what's the guy's Zach or Zach? The
The main character.
the main character,
Mm-hmm.
the one that was played by Jonah Hill.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote that for himself, like the fat, white, chubby kid, because Jewish kid, because that's who he was growing up. And then by the time they were able to produce it, I think it was like he was too old to play that role. So he played the role of the cops, which I think was probably better. Um, but yeah, what a movie. Like all those guys before they were famous and then the crazy thing is apparently McLovin hates what's his name? Uh the main actor. He
The,
hates him.
I do.
Like in real life. They're not friends.
So,
So
Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So apparently him and Jonah Hill are not friends. Like, and that's what makes it so funny because like you see and there's weird chats like if you find these behind the scenes Seth Rogen will talk about how even when the lines were being said, like Jonah Hill would get angry with McLovin, Christopher Mintz, whatever his name is, because he knew Jonah Hill's lines as well. So when they were just doing a reading, he would like, sort of read them. And then he would do his own lines, McLovin's lines, like very, over the top, and everyone would laugh. And Jonah Hill used to be like, well, he's not that funny. Like, he was a bit jealous. So,
So good. I will see that interview or that
yes,
behind the
I will
scene.
send you the link.
Yeah. And I like any type of movie in which there is Jonah Hill. I don't know about you. But
I think he's a very interesting actor. I I would say I prefer Michael Cera. Seth Rogen and what's the other guy? The other
Bill
um
Harder,
uh
Hader,
yeah,
Bill
yeah, Bill
Hader.
Hader is
Mhm.
very funny. He's funny because I think I I used to watch Saturday Night Live and he used to be on that and he was very funny. And then but James Franco, I was gonna say, even though he's not in Superbad, like he's also part of that like
Mm.
group of people.
And it's
But but mine is more like any movie Seth Rogen is in or is directing. I'm like, I wanna like I wanna watch that or see what it's about. Even Invincible, he's like I think he's a producer on Invincible,
yeah, I
the
think so.
series, and then he plays Alan the alien, like that's his voice. So yeah,
Yeah, and I always forgot about the that he is um, in The Wolf of Wall Street.
yes,
I don't
yes.
know why I always forgot about him in that movie. He
Wait,
is such iconic.
Seth Rogen? No,
So,
Jonah Hill.
uh, Jonah Hill.
Yes, Jonah Hill. Yes, he's that like smile of his. Yeah, it's just like yeah. He's good in Wolf of Wall Street.
Hmm.
Like it's probably one of his best
Yeah, I
performances.
think so.
Yeah, I think when you look back at the movies he's done, he was a kid when he did Superbad, so you could only imagine it's gonna get like he's gonna get better and grow into a more sophisticated actor as he goes along. And I feel like Wolf of Wall Street was that character where he was like able to show that he can be dramatic rather than
Mhm.
just funny. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. You also wrote me that you like scary movies, and I have to agree with you.
It's the Wayan brothers, man. They have another type of humor that just always gets me. And Scary Movie 1 and 2, when they started going 3, 4, it started getting a bit like too
But the
much.
first two are
The first two are
the
perfection.
yeah. Each time for Halloween, I have to watch them because
Yeah,
without it, it's not
yeah.
Halloween for me.
It's true. And some of the characters, like the stoner brother, I can't remember his name. Like he's
We
so funny, the one who's always smoking weed.
yeah.
He's just
And then there is this famous scene in which there is the one with the skeleton mask, and
yes,
they're
yes.
smoking all
What's
together.
up?
Yeah. uh,
I've
that
watched that.
scene.
I've watched it so many times that I noticed that when he's not high, like the guy in the scary mask,
Mhm.
when he's not high, the mask looks normal. But like when he starts smoking so much, like the eyes droop,
Yeah.
and it is so funny.
These little
Um,
details that makes it more
yeah,
fun, more
yeah,
perfect.
it does. It's the same thing with Ray. I think the leading dude who's like going out with Brenda, and he's in the closet, but he's gay, and he's like from the start of the movie, he's like doing all of these like gay stuff, but passing them over, and no one's like clicking that he's gay, you know.
Yeah.
And I found that so funny as well.
It is. And then I don't know, but when I was because I watched it when I was little, but when there is the sex scene at the end, and I was like, damn, damn, what is that?
There were a lot of like there was a lot of sex jokes and sex scenes in those movies, like be it from I think in the Scary Movie 2 or 3, it was like the one with the girl who's like, yeah, that was just there've been a few where I've always been like, oh my god, these guys really went in with them. Like they don't bother to like hide the weirdness.
No.
I think Scary Movie 1 was like Cindy's a virgin and her dad's like got like a booby trap around her
Yeah, and
pants.
then there is this big bush
Yeah,
coming out. It
when
was
he
a
gets
man.
It goes in with a like a lawnmower, and he's like, "Zeh." And I was just like, imagine that they could get away with this stuff. And then throughout the franchise, it just keeps getting more insane. Like there was a one where they were in the haunted house. I think it might be in Scary Movie 2 or even 3. And the ghost is like, I don't know, he like sneaks into the girl's room and
Yeah.
he's it's the funny bits in it. She's like wearing underwear that says Monday, and he's like, "Oh, labels are underwear." Then he like, there's a pan to the calendar, and today is like Thursday, and he's like, "Oh,
Uh,
nasty." And there's the same thing, and then like he finally figures out the ghost finally figures out. He's like, "Nah, this isn't worth it. I don't want to do it." And then like he's trying to escape, and she pulls him back, and it's like basically rapes the ghost.
yeah.
And it
they
was
they are so creative.
they are so creative with the way they with the way they really go about like directing their movies and the characters they build, and it it is quite funny.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
I think like another one with Ray obviously being in the closet was when they were like they after training where the coach was like, okay, everyone hit the showers, and Ray was
Yeah.
like, oh yes, yes, everyone, let's go into the showers, like smacking everyone's bum when they walk past, like, good game, bro.
Why?
Yeah,
Why are you doing that?
and like fighting, like play fighting when they're naked. It's like, come on, man.
But you are like a rugby player. Have that ever
Yeah,
happened in the showers?
if that happened in the showers, it would be extremely weird. That's why it's so funny. It's because like if anyone was doing that in the showers, you'd definitely be asking questions. But it's also funny because statistically speaking, there's probably at least one, because a rugby team is gonna have 15 people playing, maybe 30 people in the larger squad. At least one person in there is a little bit like in the closet or experimental with like gender fluidity or whatever it is. So that's why it's also funny to see, because you can have suspects of like throughout your rugby career, your sports career, you can have that image of that one dude
Mhm.
who was like a little bit too friendly or a little bit too touchy, and you're like, yeah, okay, that's what was going on.
Uh,
Yeah.
my God. I think that Ray, the actor of Ray, did also another movie that I really like. That was that of course he was in White Sheets, but he did also. Oh God, I don't know the name in English. That
uh,
he's the father and also the baby.
Little man.
Little man, okay.
Yeah. The one where they're like thieves,
Yeah,
and it's a baby
yeah,
that he uses. Yeah, yeah. But it's like it's not a baby, it's like a
yeah.
grown man. Yeah,
That the head is of a grown man.
yeah, yeah. Gosh, yeah, that was a weird one. It was quite funny as well though. Like had him behave pretending to be a baby, and like doesn't have the body of a baby. So like, oh gosh, the scenes that come to me is like when they had to change his diaper, and it's like
Yeah.
literally changing like a grown man's diaper.
My God, it's so weird.
Yeah, it was there was once again, they do some weird stuff. Or like when the other scene was, oh my god, he was so he's a baby, and you'd think that he was adopted or whatever it is. They found him as a kid, and they were like, we'll keep him until the right authorities come. And then they were like, oh, like they were having a party, and I guess she was showing this baby off to her friends, and one of her friends had like fake implants, and he was like, oh, like I want to, like, he was pretending to be a baby, like, oh, I want to suckle, like, like, and the whole show is like him just being inappropriate, and then when it comes down to like, oh, he must want some milk, and he's like, uh-huh, 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 and he thinks he's gonna get like the girl with the implants, and then it's just like, no, there's like an older lady who's like, yeah, I have like 5 kids, I know how to do this. He's like, no.
Yeah, that is one of the best scenes in that
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. Honestly, they love those type of jokes, and they seem to do them pretty well.
Yeah. Ah, I don't know, but what about some animation movie? Let's do really close
Yeah,
with that.
yeah. Animation wise, movies. Um, I usually do look at a lot of animation series, but movie wise, let me try and remember what I.
You wrote me Intergalactic.
Oh yeah, Intergalactic. Yes. Um, I think with that being like Kid Cudi voicing one of the characters, obviously for me was immediately like a win. And I remember watching it and thinking that this is a good narration of modern day relationships, I think. Because it was like a love story, but it wasn't really a love story. It was like grew together, then fall apart, and then come back together, and then it's like, just go on with my life. And I thought that was really cool. Him being an artist, and yeah, just the idea of you can live in the same apartment building and meet someone, I guess, is interesting.
And also because all the songs were so related to what was going on in the story. Like the song were telling the story too. So
Yes.
that was for me something particular, and I still listen to the soundtrack even if I don't watch the movie. But I like listen to the soundtrack because it's so good.
I feel like that's the cheat code, being a musician and then an actor. Donald Glover, his soundtracks are always good because he can sing them, and same thing in this show. It's like Kid Cudi can sing them and then he can make a song for the movie. And I think that's he did well. He used it well because the soundtrack is like his album. Everyone's like, yeah, I'm gonna listen to this. And I do have a few songs that I still listen to. And
Yeah, I have two songs that are in my love playlist, like my favorite song, and yeah, each time that I listen to them is like I have to watch again that movie.
it's good though. Like you have that. It's like, what should I watch today? And then like the song plays, and you're like, I know what I'm gonna watch
Yeah.
today. Yeah,
Even though sometimes you should watch something different, but you say, nah, let's go, let's go back to the good ones, the ones that you know that are good.
no, it's good, so I'm just gonna like stick with it.
Yeah,
It's true. We're all like a little bit like lazy when it comes to looking for new content. You're like,
even there is so much to offer. Like the catalogs are bigger and bigger every day. But
yeah,
maybe,
trying to keep up with it is also like so it's draining. You're like,
yeah,
ugh, am I going to try and start a new series and then find out that halfway through you don't like it?
yeah. Or sometimes this are just simply commercial. Like they are doing those series, those films simply to, oh, I don't know, to be commercial, to be entertainment, but they
Yeah,
aren't any good.
yeah. There's no layers, no depth to it. It's just
Mhm.
like, just entertainment.
Yeah, I watched the Bob Marley film movie,
Oh, nice.
which is nice, but I mean nowadays they are doing this type of thing that each year, more or less each year, they are doing a movie about a singer, a famous singer, and
Hmm.
uh, if the first one was really good and you will really fall in love again with the artist. In this case, well, I didn't really connected with the with Bob
Mm,
Marley. And the same happened to me with Whitney Houston last year. Yes,
mhm.
last year. No, in 2022 was released a movie about Whitney Houston, and I think that they wanted to share something about her story, but they just focus on those things that weren't that important to understand her character, her backstory. And
Yeah.
also here happened. I was like, why? They just wanted to give you nostalgia, I think.
Yes. Yes. Milking nostalgia.
Mhm.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm reluctant to watch it because I love Bob Marley and I kind of know his life story. And I've heard that there's a lot of fictionalized things or like more dramatic
Yeah,
um,
and this
sort
is
of.
why I think it's not that good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. So I prefer, before these things happened, we used to just have the internet, to find out what this person's life story is. These days, you have books that, yeah, no, sorry, movies that supposedly compress the information and hand it to you, but usually
Mm,
it's someone's artistic direction, you
yeah.
know.
Now they are making also a movie of Amy Winehouse,
Mm,
and I watched the documentary about her, and her story is so heartbreaking.
yeah, it is.
And I don't think that they can do a movie about that story because it
No,
is too much. She has a relationship with her father that is so complicated, and also the relationship with her last boyfriend was so,
really bad.
yeah, really bad.
Uh,
So I don't think that they could do that.
yeah. It is very difficult because whose side of the story are you going to tell? Are you going to tell the story that her boyfriend, you know, entertained her addiction or was the source of her addiction? There's like too much space to pick and choose the narrative. Um, some of these things are better learnt on the internet or like in factual as it can be. Because I guess at the end of the day, especially with people who aren't here now, it's so difficult to get the true story of who they were, and especially if they died in a situation where it's just like the autopsy is what's telling you happened. It's very difficult to get a clear understanding of how did it end up like this. The best we can get is like maybe the history, and it would be interesting because of Amy Winehouse's music is amazing.
Yeah, it's
But
a it's also a mix of genres because
yeah,
she started in blues jazz area and then she went more to the pop. So it's a mixture of the
yes,
two, and it's
yeah.
good. It's good. I mean,
I think
Back to
I
Black is iconic.
it's iconic. It's almost so iconic that it's like for me, it's the only Amy Winehouse album I know. I don't know if she had another one, but I only
Yeah,
know Back to Black.
me
So
too, actually.
yeah, but it is probably one of those albums you can listen through the whole album
Hmm.
and then do it again immediately after.
Yeah, and also singing along because sometimes you just listen, and in that case you can also sing along or
Yes.
humming a little bit.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm listening to it in my head as you speak. I go back to
Dun,
black. Dun, dun,
yeah.
dun. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to listen to that album again.
uh,
Yeah.
well, well. We talk about it a lot. We talk about I mean, what is been 1 hour and a half.
Wow.
So yeah, pretty long episode. We laugh, we think, we thought about certain important matters,
Yeah.
and so I wanted to ask you, what is a feel good show or feel good movie that you want to suggest to the public?
Um, a feel good movie that I would like to suggest to the public, or a feel good show. I I would lean to shows because I like shows that have a progressive growth factor to them. And for anyone, I would say you've got to check out Avatar: The Last Airbender. I know I picked it also because I know what's trending online is the Avatar live action. But going back to the animation,
The
uh,
original.
yeah, the original, seeing Ong's development and seeing him make mistakes and recover and like have these realizations on the journey that just because I'm promised to be this mythical best version doesn't mean I can skip, steps. I have to follow this plan and I'm going to fail and I'm going to get better, then I'm going to fail. So I'd say Avatar: The Last Airbender is a good place to start. There's
Okay.
also a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
So,
You can watch it all days.
yes.
Yeah, I used to watch it when I was little, and then I didn't finish it, but I know that it's good. But each time that I
Yeah.
find it on TV, I always uh, watch it. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for the suggestion.
You're welcome.
And there is something else that you want to say?
Um, well, not much really, but I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. It's always good when you have a long episode. And yeah, I'm happy and waiting for my next opportunity to feature. We
You.
already have an
Mhm.
episode that's gonna come out on my podcast. Well, by the time people hear this, I think the episode's gonna be out. So
Okay. I will
that's
link it
yeah,
in the description.
there we go.
Okay. Where we can find you?
You can find me on my social media, Instagram at MoHypeHippie. If you just want to find everything I do, you can actually go to www.mohypehippie.com, which is mohypehippie.com. And and there you can find everything I do from the Straight In podcast, which is something you can also look in, and my photography. So find me
He
there.
is a really good photographer.
I'm
He now you are uploading some photo about Canada and also Romania, and I think
yeah.
they're really
I'm
good.
I'm trying to I'm trying to really get as much content out there as I can and try experiment with these different forms of music and videos.
Mhm.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I like the process.
Yeah, and that is important.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for being here to talk with me.
Thank you for having me.
And that was all for today's episode. A long chat about Atlanta, the Swarm, Donald Glover production, but not only that, also feel good movies and feel good TV shows. So a long chat about different stuff, about different topics. I hope you like it. I really hope you like it. Let me know if you like this type of content with another podcaster, and let me know if you want another episode with Malcolm. I would love to have again him on my podcast. And yes, this is it. This is all that I have for you today. I really hope you will have a good rest of the week, a good rest of the day, a good day. And you already know that if you want to leave me a star, a review, I will really much appreciate it. And if you want to write me any suggestion or anything at all, be free to contact me on my Instagram at the podcast chachona underscore. And yeah, that is it. That is all. And as always, you already know that in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.